10 seconds. Athletes stand by. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we have kicked off our individual competition, getting things started here with our male competitors. Taking on event number 3. This is heat number 1, of course. Down in lane number 1, Alan Joyner. Lane number 2, Spencer Panchek. Lane number 3, Zach Watts. Lane number 4, Dex Hopkins. Number 5, Colby Thomason. Lane number 6, Tony Spillane. Lane number 7, Patrick O'Connell. Lane number 8, Harold Fisher. Lane number 9, Connor Mellons. Rounding out our first 10, Brady Greer. And off to a hot start here. Harold Fisher already on to the single leg squats. 3 rounds for time here at event number 3. Starting off with 9 ring muscle ups, followed by that handstand walk obstacle course. And 36, 45, and 54 on the single leg squats. And we're finishing up with a handstand walk. So, we're just about 90 seconds in. A majority of our competitors on the first set of the single leg squats. And it's going to be Harold Fisher right now holding down the top spot. He's here in the maroon and black. Lane number 8. We just hit the 2-minute mark. We got a 13-minute cap on the workout. Looks like Tony Spillane got a judge's hand in the air. He's going to advance his pylon. Start on the handstand walk. Making his way back. Harold Fisher already almost done with his obstacle. Zach Watts down there in lane number 3, also in the mix. And it's going to be Fisher, our first athlete. Back to the muscle ups. Spencer Panchek now also on his second set of muscle ups. Spillane also going to work. Hopkins and Watts all on the rings. Harold Fisher holding down first place still here in lane number 8. He is through his second set of the ring muscle ups. Panchek and Spillane. Now Hopkins all making their way back to the obstacle course, but now Spencer Panchek down there in lane number 2. Making his move here on the muscle ups and the handstand walks. Panchek starting to build on some momentum here at the 4-minute mark. And he's going to start his second set of single-legged squats. 45 reps here, alternating legs. Brady Greer able to get it done on that first obstacle. But all eyes down there in lane number 2, Spencer Panchek. Continuing to go to work here on the single leg squats. Dex Hopkins holding down second place right now. And Spillane in third. So you're 1, 2, and 3, Panchek Hopkins and Spillane. We're at the 5-minute mark. 13-minute cap. 8:33 is the event record set by Mitchell Adams. We'll see if anybody here in the Central is going to be able to pass that hand check. Now onto his final segment here in round number 2. Judge's hand in the air. Spencer Panchik advancing his chess piece. Panchik not wasting any time, kicking right back up onto the obstacle. Spillane and Hopkins still finishing out their second set of the single leg squats. And Spencer Panchik now starting to walk away with this one. He just passed the 6-minute mark, and he is on his final round. His final set of 9 ring muscle-ups getting started here. Hopkins now gonna join Panchik on the ring muscle-ups. Actually looks like Panchik now through the 9 muscle-ups. He's gonna make his way back to the course. Here at the 7-minute mark, Panchik. A little trouble here getting things started. Spillane able to get his first section done on the handstand walk there in lane 6. But Spencer halfway through on the handstand walks. Spencer Panchik able to get through that final obstacle. Now a little pep in his step as he makes his way into his final set. 54 single leg squats here. Panchik looks to start day number 2 with a heat victory. Hopkins through his final set of muscle-ups. He's gonna get ready to take on the handstand walk obstacle. But there is no slowing down Spencer Panchik there in lane number 2 as he continues to make his way down the floor. Spencer Panchik now eyeing that finish line. Dex Hopkins on his final set of single-legged squats. Panchik on to the final segment here. And Spencer Panchik is gonna take heat number 1 and set that time to beat. 9:26 up there on the Jumbotron. Now our next athlete looking to finish, Dex Hopkins. 10 minutes in, 3 minutes remaining, competitors. Hopkins continuing to work. .30 in, Hopkins on to his final segment here. Here comes Tony Spillane, lane number 6, starting his final set of single leg squats. Hopkins nearing that finish line. 2 minutes remaining. Hopkins able to cross that finish line. 11:05 for Hopkins. And now Tony Spillane on the single leg squats. He's about halfway through. He's gonna have about 90 seconds. Zach Watts now starting his final set of the single leg squats. Tony Spillane out of CrossFit Gambit. The crew from St. Louis making the trip. He's on his final set with just over 1 minute remaining. Central region, let's make some noise for Tony Spillane. Zach Watts trying to get it done here. He's got 45 seconds. "30 seconds, athletes. Zach Watts nearing that finish line. O'Connell now on his final set. 10 seconds. We're gonna count them down. 3, 2, 1. That is time. Spencer Panchek setting the time to beat at 9:26.
Ten seconds. Stand by. And this is it. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is heat number 2 of your individual event, getting things started for individual event number 3. It is starting with the muscle up. Gonna go over it for you real quick. There's a 13-minute time cap in place. It is 3 rounds, 9 muscle ups. Handstand walk, and you see there are obstacles out there for them to go over. So there are handstand walk obstacles they will have to cross. Then 36, 45, and 54 single leg squats. So you see the single leg squats will increase with each round. Then the handstand walk back. Wow, Perez done. Sterner done on the muscle ups, 9 and done. Panchek making his way out. Gonna introduce the guys to you real quick. Lane number 1, Mike Wagner. Kevin Schutz, lane number 2. Dylan Youngman, lane 3. Saxon Panchek, lane number 4. Brian Wong, lane 5. Zach Sauter, lane 6. George Sterner, lane 7. Ryan Sauter, lane number 8. Addison Bain, lane number 9. And Darwin Perez, lane number 10. Panchek, no problem on the handstand walk. Going right to work on the single leg squats. And Panchek in lane number 4. Gray shirt, black shorts. Got some company down lane number 2. Schutz going to work on the single leg squats. Sterner doing the same. 36 the number on round number 1. Again, 13-minute cap in place. Time to beat set by Spencer Panchek, 9:26 in heat number 1. And the event record by Mitchell Adams, 8:33. Coming up on 1 minute and 45 seconds. Hand in the air for Panchik, done with his first round. He will place his marker in the round 2 zone, and he will make his way back across the obstacle. Darwin Perez down in lane number 10 in pursuit. He is green shorts and white shirt, making his way back over the obstacle. Both gentlemen will pause in between, but it is going to be Panchik up and moving first. Great shot of Sax on the Jumbotron. He will be done with that return trip heading back to the rings, as is Perez. So you're 1 Panchik, 2 Perez. And right now the battle for third in the heat between Schutz and Sterner, as well as Mr. Brian Wong. Panchik and Perez rolling through the muscle-ups. 9 muscle-ups to start each round. Coming up on 3:03 on our time clock, 13-minute time cap. Perez hanging tough in lane number 10, and they will drop at the same time, folks. Panchik and Perez starting the handstand walk in round number 2, nearly simultaneously, but it's going to be Panchik with the lead. Panchik glancing to the side to see where his competitors are. And going back to work, Perez making his way over the first obstacle. Panchik going to be the first in the heat into the second round of single leg squats. 45, the number on the second round. And Perez will make it across the line. And he will also go to work on these single leg squats. So it's still 1 Panchik, 2 Perez. The battle now for third. It looks like Sterner shaking his arms out, done with round 2 on the muscle-ups, eyeing that handstand walk, the first obstacle in front of him. 4 minutes and 13 seconds. Yeah, Panchik in the gray shirt. Good shot of Perez on the Jumbotron in the white t-shirt and green shorts. Looking to make up some ground on Panchik. Souter in lane 6, Sterner in lane 7, both looking to get over that first obstacle on the handstand walk. As is Ryan Souter in lane number 8. Right now, though, it's all Panchik in round 2 as he advances his marker to round number 3. 54, the number of single leg squats ahead of him in round number 3, but he will make the return trip back over both obstacles. Perez right there with him, advancing his marker. Both Souders lane 6 and lane number 8. Ryan in lane 8, Zach in lane 6. And Schutz onto their single leg squats. Hand in the air in lane number 6 for Zach. He will advance solidly in third. Right now, Saxon Panchik kicking off round number 3 with his muscle-ups. Perez having a little bit of difficulty getting over that first obstacle on the handstand walk back. And we are at 6 minutes in. Again, a 13-minute time cap in place for this event. Top score currently here in the Central Regional held by Spencer Panchik out of heat number 1. But Saxon Panchik looking to eclipse that time if he can as we hit 6:22 on the clock. And Panchik done with round 3 muscle-ups, and he will make his trip across the obstacles in the handstand walk. Done with obstacle 1, will take a pause at the halfway point. Souter now advancing squarely in third place. Souter in lane number 6. That is Zach Souter. And Panchik done with that handstand walk, and he makes his way out. 54 single leg squats ahead of him. Ryan Souter now advancing. His piece to the final marker. Saxon Panchik squarely in the lead now, shirtless in the black shorts. Red, white, and blue knee sleeves. All alone in the 54 zone, and man, making short work of these single leg squats. 7:25 on the clock, 8:33 the event record. Time to beat here, 9:26 by Spencer Panchik, and Saxon has that time in his sights as we approach 7:40 on the clock. Steadily walking that time down here in heat number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise out there for Saxon Panchik as he looks to take the top time here in the Central Regional. Away from his brother Spencer Panchik, 9:26 that time to be. We're just past the 8-minute mark. And there it is, 8:13. Not only, ladies and gentlemen, not only does he take the top time here in the Central, but make some noise for your event record holder, Saxon Panchik, the old record 8:33, the new record 8:13. Another record falls here in the Central Regional. Saxon Panchik setting the bar high for our remaining heats of individual athletes. As we approach 9 minutes, again, 13-minute time cap on this event. The battle now for second place. Just past 9 minutes on our clock. A number of athletes in contention for that second place spot, but it is Darwin Perez that makes his way back across the handstand walk. Big cheering from the crowd as he begins his first 9 on the single leg squats. Perez again, white shirt, green shorts. Standing alone in the final section. A total of 54 single leg squats between Darwin and the finish line. Ryan Souter now going to work. Zach Souter just a couple lanes away. Those two gentlemen battling it out for third. Perez not slowing here as he approaches the end. It's 10:15 on the clock. Again, 13-minute time gap, just over 2 minutes remaining. Ten minutes, 30 seconds. Perez at the final mark, hanging on. One credit for every rep. Perez a mere 9 reps away from finishing up as we approach 10:45 on the time clock. Hand in the air for Darwin Perez. And Perez will step across that line just under the 11-minute mark, taking second in this heat. The battle now heated for third place between Ryan and Zach Souter as they approach the end. Lane number 6, Zach Souter in the black shirt, just 9 reps to go. $11 minutes and 25 seconds coming up. And it is going to be Souter in lane number 6. Zach making his way across the line. Ryan right behind him. Those gentlemen will finish up and top it off with a high five. Coming up on 12 minutes, getting a 13-minute time cap in place. Schutz looking to finish up. Quick single leg squats for Schutz down in lane number 2. Same for Sterner in lane number 7 as we approach the 1 minute mark. "60 seconds. 1 minute, gentlemen. Sterner and Schutz. Who will it be to close it out next? Both gentlemen just a few reps away. Sterner in lane number 2, Schutz in lane number 2, Sterner in lane number 7. Coming up on 30 seconds, and it is going to be a foot race to the end, but I believe Schutz will take it just a hair ahead of Sterner in less than 30 seconds, gentlemen. Wong and Youngman next up, looking to finish with 20 seconds remaining. It's going to be close. Athletes, 10 seconds. Wong inside of the finish line. 3, 2, 1. Big round of applause for all your athletes on the floor. Great job, fellas. Hats off to Saxon Panchik. 8 minutes and 13 seconds.
And in heat number 3, it'll be athletes ranked 11th to 20th after the opening day of competition. And if there's anybody that's going to make a run at the new event record, it might as well be Saxon's oldest brother, Scott. He'll be in lane number 3.
Scott struggled on day 1, and we've all been talking about it all day long. He needs to make a move here. He's a gymnastics type guy. He's a football player, but he's also really good at the gymnastics stuff. I expect him to do well.
In a similar position, last year's Central Regional champion Paul Castillo entering this event in 11th.
Paul should do really well at this event. Hopefully he can climb his way back up the leaderboard and put himself in a good position.
Day number 2 underway for the athletes here in heat number 3, and they come into this in a precarious position, as in week number 1, only 2 athletes, male or female, were able to go from outside the top 10 after day number 1 inside those 5 qualifying spots. If they're going to make a move, they need to do well here. How can they do it?
The thing that we're looking for here, Brandon, is to make sure that we can pace ourselves on the muscle-ups. We want to try as best we can to go unbroken, but really it's going to come down to cycle time on the pistols. What we saw in the last heat, the last set of 54 pistols took just over 1 minute and 20 seconds. That is a blistering pace on that kind of volume.
Oh, and a hard fall in lane number 7 for Dylan Martin. He was the first one to get to this handstand obstacle walk. But Panchik in lane number 3, black shirt, blue shorts, and black shirt and gray shorts in lane number 2 for Nick Matthew. They're the first 2 to complete the opening half of this handstand obstacle walk. Panchik continuing to make it look easy, and those Panchik guys know something about these handstand walks here in event number 3.
They're doing something right with the gymnastics, and everybody's making this course look really, really easy and fluid.
Here in the round of 36, they'll do 18 reps in the first segment of the floor. They'll advance to the second portion of 18 once they clear that halfway point. And as Scott Panchik tries to chase down Saxon Panchik, let's go to Mike Arsenault, who's with a special guest.
Once again with Justin Forsett, former NFL running back. Now, Justin, power and speed, that's no issue for you from your football days and your CrossFit days right now. The high skill movements that we're seeing here in event number 3, what do you admire about these athletes here in Nashville that have the power and speed that you utilize, but also the high skill that we're seeing in event number 3?
Man, I admire it all. It's impressive, man. Just like being a running back, it's one thing to be strong and fast, but do you have the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield? Can you block? Do you have that skill set? Just like with these athletes, okay, you're strong, you can deadlift, you can squat, but can you do handstand push-ups? Can you do muscle-ups? Those things are impressive to me, the combination of the two.
Are you starting to bring in some of the more high-skill movements in your training now that you're retired?
I'm trying to slowly work it in. My shoulder mobility is not as great as it used to be, but CrossFit is allowing me to open that up, so I'm enjoying it.
Great, thanks Justin. Brandon, back to you.
Thanks, Mike. As Scott Panchik closing out the opening round at 2 minutes 22 seconds, already 30 seconds off the pace of his younger brother Saxon, who has that new event record. Shane McBride will be our second, Dre Strom, our second athlete through the opening round, but he will fall about 15 seconds behind Panchik.
Well, we can see Panchik doing really well. He swings, keeps those feet up really, really hard, tucks himself up, and then immediately throws his head forward like he's trying to bash his head through a window. That puts him in a position where he can get into the dip and press that out.
So Scott through the second round of 9 muscle-ups, back onto the rising staircase before going on the decline ramp. He has just made this look so smooth after a very rough start to the weekend for him. But if he wants this one, it's going to be an event record, as it's currently Panchik and Panchik in the 1 and 2 spots. Spencer at 9:26 in heat number 1. Saxon with that new event record by 20 seconds at 8 minutes and 13.49 seconds. And even more impressive was Saxon did that. Second place in his heat was 2.5 minutes behind him. He had zero pressure to go out that hot, aside from thinking there's a couple of heats remaining after him.
They were very close for essentially the first round of the event, but as they got into the second and third rounds of single leg squats, Saxon just pulled way away.
Now, unlike what we're seeing with Scott, we're seeing a foot grab here for Dre Strom. What is the benefit here?
Sometimes an athlete's mobility is not the best, and they can't quite keep their heel off the floor when they drop into that single leg squat. So they'll reach forward, grab the toe, and manually pull that heel up so that it doesn't kiss the floor as they drop into their single leg squat.
Third place in this heat, working on the second handstand obstacle walk, or the second round of this, will be Shane McBride. Comes into this event 20th after day number 1. And the fittest man in Illinois out of the open, halfway through the handstand walk on the way down the floor. Final 15 reps for Scott Panchik. He just looks so calm, so composed. This is the Scott Panchik we're used to seeing.
Yeah, yesterday, Brandon, he looked a little bit flat to me. He looked tired, and it's very unusual. And sometimes you step into a competition and you don't feel quite right. That's happened to me in the past, but you have to go out there and make the best of it. So hopefully he got some good recovery in, and he's going to come back today and try to climb his way back up the leaderboard. He's going to need some help, though.
Panchik will break after he clears the yellow line with both of his hands. He can come down at that point and restart behind that yellow line. Both hands clear the red line at the end, and he's on to the third and final round. This is a quick time, but it's not as fast as the pace from Saxon. Saxon 1 heat ago. Starting to get confused, and all the Panchiks out here leading the way. Dre Strom making his way up the stairs, going down the decline. This is on the way back towards the mat, towards the rig, I should say. Only a few seconds behind the event record pace is Scott. Be an interesting family dinner tonight if Scott steals this event record from Saxon.
He's going to have to transition really fast through the handstand walk portion of this thing. His pistols seem very similar in tempo to his brother's, but if he's going to make up the time, it's going to have to be right here.
He'll have to get through this handstand obstacle walk in about 20 seconds because Saxon started the set of 54 single leg squats at 6 minutes and 50 seconds. That means that he did those 54 reps in 1:23. That's faster than a lot of people could do 54 air squats.
To do those single leg squats really quickly, it helps to be mobile, to have really good ankle, knee, and hip mobility so that you can drop easily in below parallel and pop right up out of the bottom. And one of the things that we're looking for is to keep the heel on the floor. Try not to let that heel come up and use the power through the backside.
Panchik going double time on the single leg squats, already through 9. They'll step forward every time they complete 9 reps here in the final set of 54. As Scott enters this event 68 points behind 5th.
And you might
Chases
notice
his brother's time of 8:13.
And you might notice that Scott's wearing Olympic lifting shoes, so he's got that elevated heel and he's got that descending toe. That pitches the heel forward. It allows him to get into that single leg squat position a lot easier than if he was wearing a flat sole shoe.
Scott closing in. He's only got about 20 reps remaining. We're at 7:51, 20 seconds away from the event record. This is going to be tight. It might be a little bit tough for him at this point. 8:13.49, the time to beat. Will also be good for an event record. He moves into his final 9 reps, and it looks like Saxon will hold on to the event record in the event lead with 1 heat remaining. But this is a great start to day number 2 for the man that's trying to make a charge back into the top 5. Scott Panchik, second place after heat number 3.
Big smile from Scott. That's a great finish for him. Really happy for him.
That would have been an event record if not for Saxon's time in heat number 2. It was 13 seconds quicker than the event record coming into this event today. Dre Strom, the back half of his final set of 54. Provisional 3rd position would be anything under 9:26. That time held by Spencer Panchik. It's the 3 Panchik brothers holding the top 3 all at once right now. Strom out of CrossFit Mayhem. He's already got 2 teams in the top 5 in the team competition with 1 day remaining.
See, he got a no rep there. His heel bumped the floor. The judge caught that. Gives him a no rep.
Dre Strom, second in the heat, will be 4th with 1 heat remaining at 9 minutes and 39 seconds. Paul Castillo, defending regional champion. He's within 27 reps of finishing this event. For Castillo, this was an interesting year coming in because last year he did well in the Open, but he was a relative unknown to an extent, and it was kind of that whirlwind year, and this time he comes in and it was, all right, now you got to back it up. It's been a little bit of a struggle, still sitting in a decent position, but needing to do some work here on day 2.
No doubt, but we talked about this earlier, Brandon, is that day 1 was such an interesting blend of events with that long endurance event first. That really throws a monkey wrench in a typical CrossFitter's training. So I think that's why the leaderboard is going to shuffle around quite a bit today.
Near side, Shane McBride up on top of the screen in lane number 2. That'll be Nick Matthew. They're the 2 next closest to finishing. McBride making his 6th consecutive regional appearance. Finished 1 spot away from those 5 qualifying spots 1 year ago. He will be our 4th finisher here in heat number 3 as he checks in at 11 minutes and 17 seconds. We only had a handful of finishers in the first couple of heats. We're about to match that here in heat number 3 alone. It's Nick Matthew in his final couple reps. He'll be in at 11 minutes, 34 seconds. Dylan Martin recovering after that hard landing on the opening handstand walk attempt is within a few squats of finishing this event.
I think a lot of people experienced that same thing when in one of the open workouts you came out of your handstand push-ups or your deadlifts and you had to immediately kick up into a handstand. I think I saw a ton of people drop like a sack of potatoes.
Final 9 reps for Martin. Second seed out of the North Central region in the Open. former rugby player for the University of Iowa, and he'll put the finishing touches on event number 3, 12 minutes, 28 seconds.
Come on, come on. Start edging forward every 9 reps.
Final
Start
20
edging
seconds
forward
until our
towards the next
13-minute
line.
time
There
cap
you
here
go.
in heat number 3.
Slowly step forward. There you go. Nice. Slowly step forward each rep.
Top lane number 1, Josiah Nag, and in lane number 4 we have Josh Woodhull. They'll be close to finishing, but they will be greeted by the time cap penalty. 1 second for every rep not completed by the end of that time limit. And that was not a factor for Scott Panchik, and it's Panchik brothers 1, 2, and 3. Scott takes the heat, but he's still going to be good for second in the event.
Scott was consistent from the start to the finish. He looked just like his brothers in the previous heats. His handstand walks were flawless. He was quick up and over both obstacles, but it was his pistols and the tempo of the pistols, especially as he got into that last round. He picked up tons and tons of time and takes that win in heat 3.
So he'll take the win in the heat, but it's still one of his younger brothers, Saxon, leading the way with that event record at 8 minutes, 13.49 seconds. Scott in at 8:20, Spencer in at 9:26. As we're ready for heat number 4, which is coming up right about in a moment. And the bubble athlete, when it comes to those 5 qualifying positions entering this event, will be Street Horner. He's in lane number 3, but the story of the day is in lane number 5. Drew Wayman, 1 year ago, 2,222nd in the world in the Open. After day number 1 in Central, he's number 1 in the standings. And it's time to defend that number 1 spot as day number 2 is underway for our top 10.
What a start for this kid on day 1, and hopefully he can just keep that momentum going. It's so interesting to see him standing in the stands and nobody recognizes him yet. Nobody's talking about him, but man, he made a huge statement on day 1.
Wayman will be noticeable in that tie-dye shirt in the center of the screen, but as the athletes make their way to the handstand walk, what do they need to do to set an event record?
What we're looking for here, Brandon, is to be able to cycle those muscle-ups. If you can't do them unbroken, you really should be able to. But what we saw in the earlier heats is that it's the single leg squat cycle time. You want to be able to literally bounce out of the bottom of that and keep your tempo up from start to finish.
Matt Fraser leading the way as he closed out day number 1 white hot with that win in event number 2. And he was in that unfamiliar position of 9th after event number 1. And when he finished that second event, just said, that's more like it. And it looks like we've got Matt Fraser back here in event number 3.
Well, Brandon, you and I, we know that he's going to do really well at this event. This is something that's right up his alley. He moves so quickly on the muscle-ups and the single leg squats, and handstand walking is just not a problem.
Now, Matt Fraser enters today in second. It's an unfamiliar position to be behind somebody. The man he's behind is Drew Wayman. For more on him, we go to Mike Arsenault.
I spoke to Drew for approximately 5 minutes this morning. Where did we chat? In the stands watching the team competition. And not one spectator stopped us or recognized Drew as the day 1 leader of the competition. He attributes this meteoric rise up the regional leaderboard to lots of hours in the gym and a focus on large volume gymnastics movements. I asked him how he slept last night. He said not well. Lots of excitement and nerves coming into day 2. He did not expect these results at all here in Nashville. His score coming in was top 20, and he's trying not to alter his expectations, but it's hard not to think that a game spot is theoretically within reach.
It is very within reach for the man that is basically the Maryland-Baltimore County of this competition, or the Vegas Golden Knights if you want to go Stanley Cup. But Matt Fraser is the powerhouse, the number 1 seed most of the time, and he's out in front and on an event record pace early.
We saw Fraser just there go up and over both obstacles without dropping down on the handstand walks. And if he can maintain that, he's looking at an event record here.
Unbroken on the handstand walk, unbroken on the muscle ups. Expect no less from Fraser. No kick down here on the way down. Again, once both hands clear that yellow line in the middle, you can kick down and restart behind that line. At the end of the length, you do have to have both hands clear that red line. It means you're clear of the obstacle course. Man on the bubble entering day number 2 is Street Horner, somebody that was tied in points for the regional championship last year, lost out on a tiebreaker, and he sits in a position where he's only 4 points ahead of Luke Schaefer in 6th.
So tight at the very top here. This is where, if you're on the bubble, you can't, this is what we heard Dan Bailey talking about earlier, you can't afford to have a misstep. You've got to keep putting pressure on the guys up top.
And if you're Drew Wayman, yes, you enter this event 12 points ahead of Fraser in the number 1 spot, but you're also less than 30 points ahead of 6th, which is Luke Schaefer, who sits 4 points behind the top 5. Schaefer was in the top 5 after a 2nd place finish in event number 1, slid back just a little bit in event number 2.
You see, just barely cleared that red line, and that allows him to move on to the single leg squats.
Is everybody chasing that man, the 2-time fittest man on earth, Matt Fraser.
You can see Matt going with a little toe grab at the end. That just makes sure that his heel stays off the ground, and that ensures that he doesn't have any no reps.
4 minutes and 20 seconds in, he completes round number 2. The old event record pace of 8:33, that was 4:54. Saxon Panchik, who has the new event record at 8:13, was a little bit quicker than that. Fraser, a little bit quicker than that even.
Looks like Matt's going to go all the way across both handstand walk apparatus without dropping down. It seems like that's his trend on the way back to the rings for his next set of muscle ups.
Now, I'm curious about that as there's a look at the event record, 8:13.49 from Saxon Panchik in heat number 2. That's the time to beat, obviously, here in the Central. But I'm curious about that choice from Fraser. Obviously, it's hard to question anything he's done, but you would think with the muscle ups coming up after, you would want the break there as opposed to leaving the muscle ups.
Yeah, you know, he must know something. He must feel like I can always string together 9 muscle-ups. He probably has that capacity. He knows he's got it, regardless of what condition your shoulders are in. So if you can buy some time and avoid that kick down, you can save yourself 15 seconds, 20 seconds each round.
Now again, I'm asking these questions, but Matt Fraser, he's won this whole thing 2 years in a row, and he's 20 seconds quicker than Saxon Panchik's event record pace. We might see somebody go sub 8 in this event. There is nobody within a minute of Matt Fraser's lead here in the heat. That's why we're pretty much sticking with him right now, as this is the story on the floor. We might see an absolute demolishing of the event record as he looks to go unbroken on the way down the floor, and all that's left is 54 single leg squats.
Yeah, he doesn't have to go back and do that second handstand walk. This is it for him. He's got 54 single leg squats, and that's it.
He's got nearly 2 minutes to do 54 reps. In comparison, Saxon Panchik got here at 6 minutes and 50 seconds. It took him 1:23. So Fraser will advance every 9 reps here in this set of 54, and that event record is not going to last a whole lot longer.
For anybody who's doing Murph on Monday for Memorial Day, keep in mind how quickly you do your air squats with 2 legs. I bet you Matt Fraser's going as fast or faster.
And this is nearly 150, right about 150 single leg squats here in this event. You couldn't tell from the pace of Matt Fraser. We're 7 minutes into this 13-minute time cap event. Nobody else is through the muscle ups in round number 2 until right now. That is how big of a lead that Matt Fraser has in the final round as he's in his final dozen reps on the single leg squats. I don't even think there's going to be a word that it can describe this event record well enough. It was 8:33, and then it was 8:13. And we're going to go sub 8 in event number 3 for the 2-time fittest man on earth, Matt Fraser, 7:34. That was a minute faster than what the event record was coming into this morning.
What a performance, just so fast on every implement, and he seemed like he was like negative splits, picking up tempo the whole time.
This is still blistering fast by Street Horner. We're just past the 8-minute mark. He's in the back half of his set of 54 single leg squats. Also not far behind him is Nick Jurenkar in lane number 7. You saw him there in the bright blue shorts on the very far end of the screen. There he is on the near side, the lower blue lane. This will be good for 4th in the event, as we've already passed Saxon Panchik's time of 8:13 and Scott Panchik's time of 8:20, and that's huge for Scott Panchik, taking 3rd place in the event unofficially. Street Horner protecting that number 5 position, entering day number 2, and he'll do a good job of that. 4th place here in the event. Also trying to protect one of those 5 positions is Nick Jurenkar. He's in the blue and pink shorts, black headband. So he'll have about 10 reps remaining. He's only 6 points clear of Luke Schaefer, who's 1 lane over to the right. Nick Jurenkar, this should be a top 5 finish. Believe this will be, as he is in ahead of the time of Spencer Panchik from heat number 1. And the points leader, Drew Wayman, is working on that handstand obstacle walk, and he's struggling with that incline.
What I'm seeing there is just shoulder fatigue. You can see as he starts to move his way up the obstacle, look at his right arm. It looked like the right shoulder, the right tricep, he just can't quite lock it out, and that's gonna make it so hard, so much more taxing on the shoulders as he goes up and over.
And we heard from Mike earlier, he mentioned the weakness there. The thing that he's been working on a lot was the body weight movements, and obviously that's a work in progress, and it continues to be for the points leader. Luke Schaefer finished 4th in the heat. There's Alex Anderson 5th in the heat at 10 minutes and 3 seconds. Anderson entered this event in 3rd. He was only 8 points ahead of Schaefer. And Drew Wayman, well, he's the Cinderella story in day number 1. He's going to take a bit of a hit here. Only had about 1/3 of the athletes in our first 3 heats able to finish this event within the time cap. We're still 1.5 minutes away, excuse me, 2.5 minutes away from that. So this might not be catastrophic, but it's not going to be a good one.
It's not going to be like day 1, but it's hard when you're an unknown and you're coming in and all of a sudden you find yourself on top of the leaderboard, and then you've got to face an event that is absolutely not your strength. This is what you've been working on. It's going to be hard to try to maintain that momentum.
Again, it was a 12-point lead over Matt Fraser for the points lead, but just as important, it was only 28 points, the difference from Wayman in 1st to Schaefer in 6th. And clearly, based on what he's doing here on these single leg squats, it was the handstand walk that got him. And the University of Cincinnati student will cross the line 11 minutes, 31 seconds, good for 6th in the heat. He's going to be outside the top 10 for the first time this weekend in an event. Marshall Creed, in his 4th regional appearance, took 9th in 2014. He'll be our next finisher if he keeps this pace. 1 minute out from the time cap.
Looks like his knee sleeves just quit a little while ago.
I'm gonna die. I'll be on the business in the air squad.
6 reps remain.
Man, I don't think you understand.
The 27-year-old out of Illinois will be our next finisher. 12.5 minutes. 7 of the 10 athletes will beat the time cap here in heat number 4, as there's nobody else working on the set of 54 single leg squats. The near lane in the red shorts, we have Zachary Bunton working on the handstand walk. We also have Joseph Totora and Nick Block working on the muscle ups on the top of the screen. There's Totora making his way from the rig to the handstand walk, but there's not going to be enough time to complete either of those implements. And fully recovered at this point, because he's been done for a long time now. New event record by 40 seconds. Matt Fraser, 7:34.
Matt Fraser hit him with the hind early. He came out of the gate, unbroken muscle-ups on all 3 rounds. Every single movement that he made was absolutely flawless. Handstand walks unbroken on all except for 2, back and forth. And it was just a steady performance from start to finish that allowed him to crush the event record by almost a full minute. You can see him working his way over that handstand walk unbroken for his last round, and his last set of single leg squats was about as fast as anyone can do air squats.
7:34, a second consecutive event win, and it's an event record in the process for Matt Fraser, 40 seconds clear of Saxon Panchik, who had that event record for all of about a half hour. But with the man that's now atop the point standings, Matt Fraser, let's go to Mike Arsenault.
Matt, your 17th win in regional competition, another 100 points, an event record. You're back on the top of the leaderboard. Do you ever surprise yourself at what you're able to do on the competition floor?
You know, I mean, I think my time here was about a minute faster than it was in training. There's something about like having a crowd and people cheering and people next to you competing. It always pushes me to go faster. So.
We talked yesterday that you've moved regions from the east now to the central. What has been the biggest challenge in moving regions with your training in 2018?
You know, it's just different. You know, I did the same thing my whole CrossFit career, trained at the same gym with the same people. So I had people to pace off of, kind of knew what routine was. So, you know, and I changed everything. So it's just that the security of knowing that I'm doing the right thing. So events like this, it's like, okay, I've been doing the right things, keep doing what I'm doing.
Coming into the regional weekend, what event out of the 6 were you most looking forward to? Has it already happened, or is it still to come over the next day and a half?
No, I really enjoy most of them. You know, I think they're good tests. You know, some are just quick, you know, who can hang on to the bar, and then other ones, there's high skill, like that handstand walk. You know, I obviously didn't love 333, so glad it's done. You know, it's like a Band-Aid, just rip it off quick. So, you know, yeah, you know, I like this event. I like the next event, so I'm excited.
All right, thanks, Matt. Back on the top of the leaderboard.
And moving day is a good day thus far for Matt Fraser as he moves himself from second to first. But we still have one event remaining for the men. That will be coming up later today. But next, women's event number 3.